How's the royal family? I pray that everyone is doing well. Well, my royal family, we are on day 3. And I have to admit, every single day there is a bombshell. Oh, yes, it is. And what I'm going to present to the royal family took a minute for me to digest. And so I was trying to decide how I was going to present what I was going to present to the royal family. So what I'm going to present first is what the medical examiner has to say. And wait just a second here. The medical examiner's name. Chester Gwynn. All right, Chester Gwynn. And I made a point of digging up this information because when I was doing my deeper research, they vaguely even talked about it. And so we got a journey to go through with my royal family. And then I'm going to shift gears and get into something real deep. And I know y'all wondering what route I'm going. It won't surprise you, but it's very deep, and it's something that we need to pay close attention to, real close attention to, something I've been talking about for a long time. So let's go on this journey, my royal family. I know this video is long. I told y'all, I'm going to be very thorough about what I do. So what we're going to do first is we're going to do a little bit of a recap. And like I said, when I'm doing these videos, there's always a reason why I do what I do. So some of these things that you may hear may overlap, but it's necessary. I feel like it's necessary. So we're going to listen to a bit of an audio. It's only 6 minutes. I got rid of the unnecessary stuff. And we jumping right into what needs to be heard.
We heard Amber Guyger's frantic 911 call today in court. We also saw body camera video of first responders, police officers, as they desperately tried to save Botham Jean's life.
This is Jennifer Emily, and I'm covering the Amber Guyger trial for the Dallas Morning News. I've left the Frank Crowley Courts building in Dallas. It's Tuesday night. Court is over for the day. Today was an emotional day in court, in both expected and unexpected ways. Let's break it all down. The biggest news coming out of the trial today was the body camera footage from the Dallas police officers who arrived first at Botham Jean's apartment. The officers got there before paramedics and desperately tried to save his life. Jean had a weak pulse, and they spoke to him, trying to get him to respond. But he never did. The officers are yelling, asking each other if they need to take over. You hear loud counting as one of the first responders begins CPR. Officers run around the apartment, searching for a first aid kit or hand towels so they can stop the bleeding. I've probably covered more than 100 trials, but watching these officers and later paramedics struggle to save Jean's life was very difficult to watch, probably because you knew he was going to die. Jean's family left before prosecutors showed body cam videos. They knew what was coming, and they didn't want to see. Also in court on Tuesday, we heard the 911 call Guyger made after shooting Jean. For 4 of the 12 jurors, this was the first time they heard the call.
Okay, we have help on the way. I know, but I'm with my dog. I thought it was my apartment.
Okay, I'm inside. Hold on.
Fuck.
Jean's parents, Allison and Bertram Jean, sat side by side as Guyger's voice filled the courtroom. Bertram Jean put his arms around his wife, and a family friend sitting behind them wiped away tears. As Guyger listened, she dropped her head and also wiped away tears. 3 neighbors who lived on the 4th floor of Southside Flats near Jean took the stand Tuesday afternoon. One was Joshua Brown, who lived across the hall. He was coming home the night Jean was killed when he heard what he thought sounded like 2 people meeting by surprise. He testified that he couldn't make out what they were saying, and the 2 people were speaking at the same time. Brown testified that he just met Jean for the first time the day he was killed. They had just a brief conversation in the hallway that day.
Had you met the complainant before that day?
The complainant, you mean that?
Both?
Yeah, yes. Well, I met him that day.
Okay. Had you ever seen him in the building before that day?
No, I can't say I seen him. I heard him in there.
Okay, when you say you heard him, what did you mean?
Heard him singing every morning.
Okay, you heard him singing. What kind of things did you hear him sing?
Gospel music, Drake.
And your door is directly across the hall from where Mr. John's apartment was, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So in the mornings, were you inside of your apartment when you heard Mr. John singing, or outside of your apartment?
I'll probably hear him when I come out, lock my door. I'll hear him.
Okay. So from in the hallway, you can hear his activities inside his apartment.
Mm-hmm.
Yes? You have to say it out loud, I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
He was so upset, Judge Tammy Kemp sent the jury out of the courtroom and called for a recess. Court ended just after 5 p.m. The jury is once again sequestered and will be until the trial ends. Kemp reminded jurors that, although they shouldn't have access to any media, they should not read or watch anything about the trial. The judge told the jurors in advance that they would not have access to their phones while the case was going on. The Texas Rangers took over the investigation from the Dallas Police Department 2 days after Jean's death. I'll be back in the courtroom and we'll bring you the latest updates. Until then, I'm Jennifer Emily for the Dallas Morning.
All right, my royal family. So as we continue on, now we are going to get into what I feel like is absolutely necessary. And like I said, I just noticed today that the media is on some fuckery. And I'll point it out in a bit because they don't want to talk about core. And what Dr. Gwen has to say speaks volumes. So I'll let the video play for itself. And then I'll give my commentary after that. So let's get into it.
I promise you that's going to be it. All right. Mr. Jean weighed what, 247 pounds?
Yes.
Okay. So, and he was 6'1", okay? I weigh over 250 and I'm 5'8", so I'm actually going to probably be a little wider than him. But as far as, just so that the jury can kind of see, the entrance is going to be about here. Is that correct?
Correct.
Just above the left nipple.
Yep.
And as far as where the psoas muscle is, where the bullet was recovered, just from a side angle, Your Honor, did the doctor step down? Yes. Could you show on the jury where on my body, approximately how far back between the stomach and the back we're talking about?
Yes, the psoas muscle is deeper in the abdominal cavity. It rests right up against the spine, and it's going to be probably about right in this area.
And I can't see where you're at, but is that going to be approximately midway or a little bit past midway, closer to my back than to my front?
Yes, the muscle's deeper in the abdominal cavity.
Okay, so approximately right there.
Yep.
Okay, but that's just the position front to back, my stomach to my back, correct?
Correct.
All right, would you show then the jury using my back where the bullet came to rest just from this vantage point?
The muscle is right up against the spine, so if I go midline, the spine, it's going to be about an inch or so away from the spine.
So let me get this, if you wouldn't mind. I've got a dowel rod. Since I've got you up, I might as well do this now. Can you show me on my chest again for the jury approximately where the entrance wound is? And I'll go ahead and point out for you, this would be my left nipple.
Okay. The entrance wound is going to be right about here.
Okay. So using this then as the entrance, can you give me the degree down with the dowel rod, showing kind of what the angle or the path of the bullet would be?
It's going to be about like that.
Okay, I'm going to hold that in place. All right. So for the jury, although the entrance would be here, obviously you can't stick this dowel rod through my heart, right? But you probably I don't want you to. All right. Go ahead and have a seat back up there, doctor. So although the entrance was here, does the dowel rod, as I have it situated on my body, indicate kind of the pathway through the body, although the jury would have to position it here where my heart is?
Correct.
Okay. So, and you have the dowel rod ending approximately where the bullet would have ended, except it would have been back here in my back.
Correct.
Okay. Now, you can't give, you have no idea about where Mr. John was or what he was doing, correct?
That's correct.
And you have no idea where the shooter was. Is that correct?
Not specifically, no.
Okay. But the path within the body is set. It is what it is. Is that accurate?
Yes.
So if a person is, unless the shooter is on the roof of this room and shooting down, although that's a possibility, that's probably unlikely. Would you agree with that?
I would say that's an unlikely scenario.
Okay, fair enough. And I just want to use that just as an example. But for the purposes of the path through the body, is it fair to say that the bullet is going to be coming from the other end of this dowel rod? Wherever the body may have been positioned?
Yes.
Or if the person had been sitting down, or even if the person had been laying on his back, the bullet is going to be coming in the direction that the dowel rod indicates through the path of the body. Is that right?
That's correct.
The only variable is where the gun is.
That, or if there was a dense interposed target, something in between the body and the firearm that the bullet struck first.
Okay. Do you have any indication that there was anything? You saw the. Well, let me just ask you this: as far as we had a firearms expert look at the bullet, so I'll leave that to her area of expertise. But as far as throughout the body, bullets can be deflected also internally. Is that right?
They can be.
Okay, I think I'm done. Is there anything else that I need to show the jury as far as this pathway?
No, sir.
Within the body itself, it is always possible that a bullet could be deflected. Is that right?
It's possible.
Okay. In this particular case, did you find any evidence which made you believe that the bullet was deflected within the body of Mr. John?
I did not.
You did find a rib that did indicate that it had been nicked by the bullet.
The bullet did strike the rib.
Do you believe that the rib deflected the bullet, making the path as you've shown the jury?
I do not.
Okay, tell me why.
Bullets, when they enter the body and strike organs or bones, typically follow a straight line path. Even hitting a more dense bone such as the pelvis or a long bone of the extremity, in my experience, I have not seen a significant deviation of that bullet along its flight path.
Is it your belief that the path that the bullet took was based on the position of the complainant and the position of the shooter?
It's based on the relationship of the muzzle of the firearm to the body.
Again, just exactly what I showed the jury. The bullet was traveling on the path the dowel rod was indicating. the body is positioned vis-a-vis the bullet or the gun, this was the path that it took him.
Correct.
Okay. I want to show the jury. Well, you've already indicated to the jury that you were able to recover the bullet that was from the body. Is that right?
I did.
Okay. You've already indicated where. I'd like to publish that in Your Honor 272.
Yes.
When you recover a bullet from the body, what do you do with it?
The bullet's recovered. It's cleaned, just washing the blood and the soft tissue off. The projectile is then photographed on top of the envelope that I will then put the projectile into. Then that envelope is sealed and signed with my signature and date.
And I'm going to show you what's been already admitted into evidence of State's Exhibit number 250. This is going to be the bullet, the packaging at least for the bullet that was recovered and then sent forward to the firearms folks at your lab.
Yes.
Now that's your body. All right, Doctor, I've been trying to cover the evidence of injury with you. Is there any other evidence of injury that we need to cover with the jury?
I don't believe so.
All right.
Okay, my royal family. Y'all might have to play that back over. But let me go over here real quick before I get into the next stuff. This murderous bitch, I want y'all to understand what y'all just watched, and all of us is really sharp. Do you realize, my royal family, that Botham was shot possibly in a downward position or a crouching position? He never really fully stood up. Now, she shot the gun twice. The first time she shot the gun, she came right at him. The second time she shot the gun to make the shit look good, she shot up into the wall high. Because she knew she fucked up. So she had to make it look good. And her lame ass, sorry ass defense team want to give the royal family the impression, all the enemy and the enemy supporters, that Botham rushed at her. He in his drawers, watching the game, eating some ice cream. All of a sudden you hear somebody fucking around with your door like a maniac. And the prosecution even got a nerve to say, he shouted back, "Yeah, you in your house, motherfucker." He never had a chance, my royal family. Do you get what I'm saying? Botham never even got to the fucking door. And we're going to get deeper into this. Oh, it gets much, much deeper, my royal family. Much deeper. Father. So, my royal family, as we continue on, I'll read a little bit of this because I want to make sure Atlanta Black Star get their props. We always reading the enemy's paper. Judge in Amber Guyger murder trial apologized after allowing video of cops trying to revive Botham Jean to be played out in court. There's a reason for that, because yesterday that was played out, but today it was a portion of it played because Judge Tammy Kemp, who's doing a wonderful job, needed to make a decision. And inadvertently, when she needed to see what she's seen, didn't realize what was going to be shown. And those things happen, and it's terrible. You know, nothing runs perfectly in these type of situations. There's just a lot swirling around in my psyche. So, now we're going to get much deeper into it. And I know y'all said, well, how deeper can it get? Realizing the trajectory that this, our royal son, has been shot at. He never had a chance. He was shot in cold ass murder. So, we're going to get over here to the super coon. David Armstrong. He's a Texas Ranger. He's what you call a good old boy. And there's some things that I have no problem admitting. The brother spoke, so-called brother spoke well. Looked fairly decent. And before I show what I show the royal family, everything that you watch in my royal family is all a motherfucking act. And he's been doing what he's been doing for a long time. And I've been doing some research on him. And he is their go-to boy. Not boy, boy. They rely on him heavily. And they even have the nerves to say that he's an expert of many things. Many things. So the question that I'm asking the royal family, and many will answer it. When the enemy rely heavily on the very people that they despise, it's a problem. And so-called Armstrong, he's a good actor. He knows how to project his voice. He knows how to hold his face in a particular way. He knows how to come off like he don't got a motherfucking clue. I know what I'm talking about. It's hard to read my emotions. Some of y'all have seen my face. I have perfected the shit. I don't know where it came from, but even my own husband has even told me, sometimes I don't know what you thinking. So you can see certain things that you know about people, that you start learning about people, and you say, damn, I do that. And I studied him really close. He's extremely dangerous. Oh yeah, very dangerous. So as we continue on, let's see here. So, investigator calls parking lot at Amber Guyger's apartment confusing. Okay, he does his investigation. Now, let's not lose sight that, let me see if I can find this real quick. Let me get over here. Because, you know, I like visual. Oh, yeah, let's get into it. So let's not lose sight. Chief Renee Hall was talking about being transparent. And that was the first time I ever heard of the Texas Rangers. And she's doing everything she can to stay in favor with the enemy and the enemy supporters. But Mike Mata, his fat ass, who's all up in this, the union president, want her gone. I just want y'all to remember that. So I had already did a video on him on my channel. Whenever it comes back, that ain't gonna stop me. And I said, uh-oh, this one dangerous. I said, look at this. Good old boy got his 10-gallon Texas hat on and all of this. And I'm like, wow. So he wants to look the part, you know, of the enemy. So I had already seen some of these pictures here, and I can see even when he was younger, he has been on many witness stands, many. And they are relying on what this extremely dangerous coon have to say. Extremely dangerous. But I got a punchline with it, my royal family. And people didn't get the opportunity to watch it today. So basically he admits, you know, the layout and all this of the parking lot is confusing, and said numerous and other residents he questioned admitted trying to unlock the wrong apartment. All right. So and then he gets into being an expert locksmithman. Yeah, he's an expert on many things. You know, he's a jack of all bullshit. I said, ain't that deep? Ain't that deep? Ain't that deep? So I'm going to leave this right here for a reason. We're going to come back to this in a little bit. Okay, I want y'all to listen closely to this, real closely, and watch how Judge Kemp is game tight.
Yes, ma'am, I do. I'd like to, I would object. First and foremost, I think it's inappropriate even for a qualified expert.
Okay, we got some little technical issues here, but we're going to work it out. Let's freeze it for a second. See what we can get. So as I'm, you know, freezing it, right now you're listening to the prosecutor. You're listening to the, the prosecutor speak about the Armstrong, their unquote expert, all right, that the defense is relying heavily on.
Be testifying as to what they believe the state of mind of the defendant was at the time of the commission of the offense. That's number one. Even a qualified expert isn't allowed to do that in the state of Texas. Secondarily, what Ranger Armstrong believes is Ranger Armstrong's opinion. That's his belief. His opinion and belief doesn't help the jury, which is exactly why an expert opinion on some things might be relevant. The fact that he believes something based on evidence doesn't mean that the jury is going to believe the same thing. And all it would do, since he can't help them, his opinion doesn't help them form their opinion, all it would do is serve to confuse them and possibly even override their individual assessment as the exclusive judges of the facts and the evidence because of his station as a Texas Ranger. So I believe that it's inappropriate not only because it violates him trying to tell the jury what she believed, but also, even if it was just what he believed, he's not helpful to the jury, and therefore they don't need that level of any expertise on what Ranger Armstrong believes. So I believe it's inappropriate.
Of course, go ahead, Mr. Ryan. Yeah, just briefly, he's not testifying to her state of mind, he's testifying to his opinion of the reasonableness of her actions. And Mr. Hermes is putting that into play by implying that she acted not in accordance with DPD policy in responding to a burglary call, that she ignored all these cues that she should have seen, and that she, and specifically putting into evidence that, telling this jury that the complaining witness was sitting on his couch when he was shot. He's made all these liable.
Boy. My goodness. So we're going to freeze this again because we're going to hear this. Y'all know I'm not going to edit a damn thing. So let's see if we continue on. Let the games begin.
Issues, and they rely on Ranger Armstrong and other law enforcement officers for these opinions and all their other cases, and detectives and investigators have been allowed to testify, if they're qualified, to their opinion as to reasonableness, pursuant to Rule 704, based on their training and their experience. And so, Judge, and then I'd like to carve out, I threw in the questions about his experience with tunnel vision.
Now, while he over there double talking, I will say this. The defense, the way he is talking is like he about to die if this super coon don't be the expert on everything. Y'all gonna see it. I mean, he the expert on the layout of the whole damn unit and the lot and all that. He the expert on the key fob, and he even the expert on Amber Guyger's state of mind, and he's even an expert on possibly what Botham Jean was about to do, I guess. In his drawers, watching the game, eating ice cream. Boy, a nigga ain't shit. That's a real nigga for you, ain't it?
I'd like to carve that out as well, because I don't want that lumped in with all the opinion onto the reasonableness. So there's the...
How do you understand what you mean by carving it out?
Well, so I'd like to offer the opinions and testimony that Ranger Armstrong, that I listed from Ranger Armstrong regarding, based on his training, his experience individually in interviewing officers and going to schools, of what an officer, what he experienced and what he's seen officers experience when they're confronted with a tense, rapidly evolving encounter with the suspect. And that's where he talked about what you go through and how you have the narrowing of the vision. And then I have the issue with whether the difference between responding to a burglary call and walking to a burglary, and then, so those are two different issues, and then all the opinions with regard to where the complaining witness was located and the reasonableness of Ms. Guyger's.
Was Ranger...
Wait a minute. This is supposed to be the lead defense attorney. This dude is so fucking lame. Whatever that shit is hanging off of his damn neck. And he act like he about to cry if he can't use this comb. You know? As we continue on.
Armstrong offered bond you to the state as an expert in his area?
He's on my list of experts, yes.
That's not what she has. She has the opposite.
Well, I didn't.
We've never designated Ranger Armstrong as an expert in
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, then the motherfucker lie. Now, did you catch what he said? He said, oh, yeah, I got him down as an expert. No, he a jack of. All right? Or a jack off.
I misunderstood, Judge. The question I answered was, we proffered him as an expert. They did not. I'm sorry.
Well, my ruling remains the same. I will not allow Ranger Armstrong to testify as to the location of Mr. John when he was shot. I will not allow him to offer testimony concerning the reasonableness of Ms. Guyger's actions. And I will not allow him to testify concerning how he knows for certain where Mr. John was when he was shot. Because I think based on all the evidence that we have, I don't know that that determination can be made. There are a number of people in that crime scene. I looked back because my recollection was that there were people standing between his legs at one point in time offering aid to him. So I don't know if we can rely on the photographs that show where his flip-flops were to indicate exactly where he was at the time that he was struck by the bullet. Nor do I believe that we can determine from the trajectory of the bullet in the wall which bullet was fired first or second. So I'm not going to allow that testimony. Are we ready to proceed?
Okay. Now listen clear, my royal family. She said what she was not going to allow. You know, Super Coon over there, he's such a damn expert. He an expert about the trajectory of the bullet, where Botham Jean's body fell, and he also an expert at what people thinking and all of that in their motives. Now, she said what she was not going to allow. And my prediction came true. I had said, they getting tired of saying, yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am. And what they will do is they will disregard what you have to say, and he want to do what he want to do because he getting tired of her. You got to realize, my royal family, they don't have a defense. And then they all butthurt and coming out dejected already because they used to being where they want to be and just having a house full of white folks from top to bottom. And they can just have a word salad and just say, you know, everybody be on cold and y'all go back there for a couple hours or a day or so and then come back and say, not guilty. I'm telling you, it's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of energy popping off in this sister's domain. And I pray that Yah fully keep his divine hand where it needs to be. So, she said what she said, and he disregarded her.
Television.
He's not on the stand right now as an expert. I guess we could go through qualifying. Is he on your witness list or is he a witness?
He's on my witness list, expert witness list.
Your Honor,
we gotta have a 7:05 hearing. If we can go through all that, we should have had that before we got started. We'll finish this cross, and you can do with your case what you will when we get to your part of the case.
So, oh my goodness. Okay, go ahead. Let me let it go. Let me see if they're gonna go ahead.
State Exhibit 140. And in I don't know what caused that, but
okay, I'm gonna take y'all over to the next phase. I'm leaving a cliffhanger. You know I like to milk shit out. So let's see, let's get over here. I want y'all to hear a little bit of his testimony. Is this the one? No, this is not the one. No, this is the one right here.
Day 3 now of the Amber Guyger trial may be honestly remembered for the testimony the jury didn't hear. CBS 11's J.D. Miles gets us started tonight live over at the Dallas County Courthouse with what the state's lead investigator had to say about the former officer. J.D.?
Doug, this murder trial is going on despite the fact that a Texas Ranger who was the chief investigator over the case doesn't think it should. He says no crime was committed. Defense attorneys wanted that investigator, who's a witness for the prosecution, to offer that opinion to the jury, but today the judge would not allow it. Prosecutors continued to call tenants of the Southside Flats to the witness stand, where they testified about what they heard but didn't see on the night Amber Guyger shot and killed Botham Jean.
I just heard the 2 loud bangs, and that was the first thing I heard.
But it's testimony the jury didn't hear that offered the biggest surprise during day 3 of the murder trial. Texas Ranger David Armstrong was the lead investigator of the shooting. The jury was not present, while the judge considered his testimony that he would not have charged Guyger with the crime.
No, I don't believe that it was reckless or criminally negligent based on the totality of the investigation and the circumstances and facts.
The judge ruled that testimony inadmissible. Armstrong was allowed to present to the jury the first photos from inside Jean's apartment and Guyger's, which he says have the same layout. He also testified that door locks in the building were poorly installed and that the parking garage creates confusion about which floor someone could be on.
Was that significant to your investigation?
Absolutely.
A photo of the gun used was offered as evidence, as well as another of Guyger taken of her in uniform after the shooting. Prosecutors pointed out she had a taser on her belt in addition to a gun. Testimony has concluded here for the day. We expect the prosecution to wrap up their case sometime in the next day or two. Live and
So, old Super the part that I love about it is that I had to hold it because I did not want y'all to know that this coon doing all this talking, the jury wasn't there the whole time. And anybody that was watching it that was over there, after she done said what she done said, old lame duck over there still want Super Coon to talk about, you know, all his training and all of that. He went to a 6-week crash course about, you know, the trajectory of bullets and all of those things that you deal with in a crime scene. But they have experts for everything. In the defense, not the defense, excuse me, the prosecutors brought some of their experts today. They brought their experts to deal with that. Now, how I look at this is, and I explain myself, and I'll say this briefly. I often talk about I'm a certified welder. All right. But I specialize in certain type of welding processes. I'm an intershield welder. Anybody that's in the welding field know what I'm talking about. Now, basically, we weld with sticks. But then there's specialty. There's MIG, TIG, intershield, and all these other things. You can weld with. You can weld gold and plastic and all of that. So it would be along the line of you got a general surgeon. Well, would you want a general surgeon to operate on your back and your back is jacked up? No, you want a spine specialist. So basically, old Super Coon over here, basically, even though he is an unquote investigator, he's not an expert on one particular thing. So he can't sit up there and speak on where he thinks somebody's body didn't fail and all of that. He can investigate the scene, but at the end of the day, you're still going to need the expert. Ballistics and all of that. That's all they do is eat and sleep. That's their specialty. Now, when they go to these 6-week crash courses, basically they know the language when they are talking to the experts. But he can't go in depth and everything. But his word is gospel. See, when you get a motherfucker like that in that type of motherfucking position, they done ruin many lives, you know. and stuff. So it was just comical that, and see, that's why I was saying today. Today, what I noticed was when let me see if I can find more of this. Today, when they were talking more, no, today, let me take that back. Today, when they was presenting a recap, basically they were talking about what happened day one, trying to give the impression that how could I put it? Give the impression that the DA went back and had a second interview. And I was like, y'all not really talking about the present, because the defense is bombing badly. So now they muddying up the water. So if you don't keep up with this stuff, you'd be like, well, what's really going on and stuff. And what I'm looking for, hopefully, let me see if this coon gonna say it on here. Did I play it on here? Let's see. Because I didn't really want to hear him just talk about the damn parking lot. But we'll go ahead and just play this shit.
Testimony at the Amber Guyger murder trial today described a pattern of confusion with residents of the Southside Flats going to the wrong floor.
The lead investigator for the Texas Rangers described the layout of the building and Botham Jean's apartment, how it was nearly identical in some respects to Guyger's. David Armstrong testified that many other residents made the same mistake as the off-duty police officer, going to the wrong floor, even putting their key into the wrong door. However, Guyger's was the only case where someone was shot. There was also testimony from neighbors who heard the gunshots, but no police commands prior to that. Fox 4's Sean Rabb joining us now with more on the day's developments. Sean.
Yeah, good evening to you, Heather. Listen, Amber Guyger parked on the wrong floor, went to the wrong door when she shot and killed Botham Jean. And today, the defense tried to prove and convince to this jury that not only does it happen, it did happen at Southside Flats, and more than one might think. Lead investigator, Texas Ranger Sergeant David Armstrong, provided with still images by defense attorney Robert Rogers, showed the similarities between Botham Jean's and Amber Guyger's apartments. Both designed the same way, TVs and sofas in the same place. Armstrong called the layout of the parking garage at Southside Flats confusing.
No major differences, correct?
That's correct.
Responding to questions from the defense, Armstrong, the state's witness, gave context to images of both the third and fourth floors of the parking garage, with few identifiers, as well as the walkways from the garage to the apartment building on both floors 3 and 4.
Did you ever park on the wrong floor?
Yes.
Just in the course of your investigation, you unintentionally parked on the wrong floor?
I did.
With regard to going from the garage to the interior of the complex, what visual indicators are there to let someone know what floor they're on?
There are none.
Armstrong said he and other rangers interviewed 297 of the building's 349 residents. 93 had at some point parked on the wrong floor, 76 of those on floors 3 and 4. In later testimony, defense lawyer Toby Shook took Whitney Hughes on a walking tour of Southside Flats. She lived on 4, but described one case where she mistakenly parked on the 3rd floor and walked to what would have been her apartment, except 1 floor down.
Okay, so you didn't notice that the pineapple mat was missing, or the brown and black mat was missing on this hallway, did you?
You could feel, I didn't notice, it just felt something was weird, but I kept going.
For the state, Hughes also testified she heard 2 gunshots the night Botham Jean was shot and killed by Guyger. So did Alyssa Kinsey, who lived next door to Botham Jean. And it was revealed by the medical examiner that Botham Jean, at 6'1", 247 pounds, died from a gunshot wound that hit his lung and heart. And for the second day in a row, we had a big out of the presence of the jury hearing. This one today on whether the ranger, David Armstrong, could provide quote-unquote expert testimony on the part of the defense, offering his opinion as to where Botham Jean was shot and died and what was in the mind of Amber Guyger, and even further, whether he thought Amber Guyger committed any crime on the night all of this played out. He was being led in his answers by defense attorney Robert Rogers. Again, this was out of the presence of the jury. I want you to hear what the trooper, the ranger, Sergeant David Armstrong, said.
Do you believe today that you have probable cause to believe that Amber Guyger committed a crime?
Based on the totality of the circumstances, based on the complete investigation, no, sir.
Do you have an opinion as to whether it was reasonable for Amber Guyger to have believed she was in her apartment when she encountered the complaining witness?
Yes, I do.
And what is that opinion?
That she believed that there was a burglar in her apartment.
And that it was reasonable?
Yes.
And do you have an opinion as to whether it was reasonable for Amber Guyger to perceive, based on the facts and circumstances, that from her standpoint, that the complaining witness was an intruder in her apartment?
Yes, sir.
And what is your opinion?
That it was a reasonable perception.
And do you have an opinion as to whether it was reasonable, based on the facts and circumstances, from an ordinary, prudent person in Amber Guyger's position, for her to perceive that Botham Jean was a deadly threat?
Yes, sir.
And what is that opinion?
I believe that she did perceive him as a deadly threat.
And do you believe that was reasonable based on your training and your experience and your consideration of the totality of the circumstances?
Yes, sir.
So all of that very powerful, but none of that heard in front of the jury. The state, through Jason Hermes, the lead prosecutor on this case, strongly objected, said, listen, we don't need your opinion. We don't need the lead investigator to suddenly give us his opinion. We only need him to be a fact finder. What this jury needs is we need for this jury to consider the facts, and then they decide whether Amber Guyger is guilty of committing a crime. The judge considered it all, and she sustained the objection of the state. For now, because Ranger Armstrong is also, Steve and Heather, on the defense witness list. And it may be possible that when the defense begins to present their case, they try to certify him as an expert and bring the same testimony. We'll have to see how that plays out. But today, it was breathtaking to hear the lead investigator say what you just heard him say about this case in his opinion.
All right. Oops. All right. I have to admit, my royal family, I read this, but some of the stuff you're reading is misleading, and also based on the title, I didn't want to hear the video. I didn't want to hear the video, so that was the first time I heard it. You know, I'm gonna keep it core with y'all. So, as we close out, I said, is it here? Damn it. Sometimes you lose your way. I think it was this. Yeah. So, like I said, these articles that you read can be misleading. And based on the bullet trajectory evidence, prosecutor maintained that Jean would have been getting off the couch or crouching. The defense sees that differently. They believe it can support their case and show that he was moving towards her. Ain't that something? So, both teams questioned the medical examiner, which said both cases could be true. If an individual were facing a person walking up towards a person and saw a firearm, they ducked, and a person shot at them, that could cause them to duck, said defense attorney Toby Spook. Okay. Yes, the medical examiner agreed. Okay, the medical examiner said Jean was a healthy 6'1", 247 pound. Check this out. He had marijuana in his system. He died from a gunshot wound to his heart and lung. That's it, and that's all. Now, I'm going to go back to based on what I said before. Botham didn't have a chance. And based on my perception, and I ain't an expert, and then just looking at the footage that we have been looking at, he never made it to that door. And then that extra bullet was to make it look like he was coming at her. So she gonna shoot up. She ain't fooling me at all. That is it, and that is all, my royal family. This motherfucker right here, I wouldn't trust him as far as I could throw him. And he a pretty big dude. But the sad part, my royal family, is this bitch ruined lives. She ruined lives. And that's something that I just have a hard time processing. And she looked worse every day. I like how she looked fucked up. You know, you fucked over people's lives. That is it, my royal family. I know I have drugged this on. It is what it is. So render your voice with your beautiful divine words. And as always, my royal family, I thank you for your love. I thank you for your support. And with that said, Ashe.